Well, if you're looking for a really good recipe, you can't beat lamb rogan josh. It is wonderful, all the flavours that go into it, and quite honestly, it's one of the most popular curry dishes to eat when we go out to eat. Well, it's hardly surprising when you taste this. Now, what I've done here, as you can see, is I've fried off my lamb in 2 different batches. It's a neck of lamb you can buy at your butcher's, and ask them to chop it up for you, cut it up into these kind of bite-sized pieces, all right? That's 675 grams if you guys want to know the metric weight of that. And you can see, just literally fry those off, get a nice brown colour on them, and pop them into your slow cooker. All right, let's pop your pan back on the stove, and then we're going to take some really nice little spices I've got here. Cinnamon, a couple of bay leaves, and 6 cloves. All of that's just going to go into our hot oil. Just allow that to kind of sizzle a little bit, and then we're going to add some onion to that. So you've got 1 large or a couple of small onions. There we are, that'll be fine. Nice and chunky. Don't get too worried about whether they're ideal size or not. You know, just chop it up. Nice big chunky pieces of onion. Remember, this is all going to cook lovely and slowly, so they'll get lovely and tender and soft. Let's pop that, as well as the other bits, 1 large onion, into our pan. And you're going to cook that for about 5 or 6 minutes. OK, a fairly high heat there, as long as you're stirring it around. If it gets a little bit of colour on it, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Sometimes I do say to you, though, don't I, cook without colour, because we don't want that caramelisation coming out. That means the sugars and stuff like that start to come out. That changes the flavour. What we're looking for here is to intensify the flavour. It's going into that lovely curry. There's nothing wrong in that at all. Right, that's coming up beautifully now. Look at this, guys. There it is, all fried off. It's already wonderfully aromatic. That's the great thing about cooking with fresh cinnamon and bay leaf and cloves and stuff. It just fills the kitchen and fills the house eventually, so close them doors. All right. Now, to that I'm going to add here, I've got a couple of inches of ginger. Just ground that down, pop that in there. 4 cloves of garlic. I know it sounds a lot, but this is a large quantity. 6 to 8 people this is going to feed, guys, quite honestly. So think about that. 4 cloves of garlic going in there. OK, just mixing that in. The pan's still hot, so instantly it hits the pan there. Starts to sizzle a little bit, combining with the onions and everything. Now, what about the spices? I always go on about, you know, how important fresh spices are. If you can get hold of anything fresh and grind them down yourself in a pestle and mortar, great. If you want to use the convenience of a paste, also great. Or you can sort of meet it halfway and just get sort of ready crushed or ground spices. What I've got here, let's have a little bit of a look at this. I've got a couple of teaspoons there of ground cumin, and then we've got a tablespoon of ground coriander. That's also nice. Best to sort of grind that down in a pestle and mortar if you can't get hold of the ground stuff. And over here, then, this is the real hot, spicy stuff. This is a little bit of ground cayenne there. So you can use anything from about 1½ teaspoons to ½ teaspoon. It really is left up to you. It depends how spicy you like it. That guy there is going to control everything of that department. All right, we've also got some paprika there. And to finish it off, some cardamom. Cardamom, I think, is a wonderful spice. It comes traditionally like this. This is the cardamom pod, and inside there you've got the lovely seeds. If I squeeze it out on the side there of the plate, you can see those black seeds there. That's the one. That's the real intense flavour. That's where all the flavour comes from. So you can get rid of those papery skins if you want and just crush that down. All of those spices are going on top of our onion and garlic mix. Just stir that in there. Lovely, vibrant colours, instantly aromatic, just like, oh, lovely. And let's take that back over to the stove and give that a little bit more of a fry for a bit. Now, if you've fried that off for a couple of minutes, then you can start to add your yoghurt. This really what makes the Rogan Josh a little bit more special. Okay, tub, 200-gram tub, there's 7 ounces of Greek yoghurt, the thick yoghurt I like to use. And just a spoonful at a time. I think that's all you really need to do. Okay, and just combine that. Look, You can see that, I'm just stirring that in. Okay, once you've mixed that through, then you can add the next batch. You can see that really frying off beautifully now. And finally, the remainder of it. That's it, just cooking that out, heating that up, stirring that in like that. And then after that, to that you add 1 can of chopped tomatoes and a 1/4 pint, which is 150 millilitres of water. Stir that in, gently stir in. It doesn't need to be greatly combined, because what we're going to then do is take this and transfer it on to the top of our meat. All right, remember that meat's all been fried off really well, nicely browned. And one of the reasons I've done that, of course, when I was browning off my meat, is that you don't want to pack it too much. You don't want to pack your meat inside your frying pan. Otherwise, what happens, it starts to steam, it starts to boil. You don't get that fried effect on your meat, all right? So just kind of work that through a little bit like that, just helping it to work its way down all those lovely flavours so it's equally distributed throughout your Rogan Josh. Right, let's get rid of that pan, into the sink. Just a touch of seasoning in there. That's okay. That's it, just ease that in again, just to allow distribution of flavours. On with the lid. Turn that on to low, and then you have 6 hours to do whatever you want. I know you're thinking, what's he going to do this time? I'm going to go and paint the garden fence. That's exactly what you'll be doing. Just, look at that. Just lovely. I'm very happy with that. Even though I'm a chef, yeah, any of you cooks out there, once you prepare something and it's one of those slow cook things, you still want to know that the results are absolutely perfect. And you can just see, look at that, beautifully sucking up, beautifully moist. All the tomatoes have broken down, all those spices have come together. It just really looks so inviting, doesn't it? Just look. Yum, yum, eh? Now, one of the great things about this, of course, is being able to pop that out and take that to your dining table. All your guests are sitting around there. Why shall I slop it into dishes or something like that? No, you can just place that onto your table, sprinkle it with some coriander or something like that, and allow them to serve themselves. But if you want control, and I kind of like the idea of serving it like this, is that you can have individual dishes. I've got some yoghurt there, and I've just garnished that with a few basil leaves, which I think is quite pretty, and we'll sprinkle a little spice on top. But speaking of spice, what do you want to serve it with? Well, I've got the rice, which I've cooked in my rice cooker here, and I've also put in, again, I've got my cinnamon stick there, which if you're going to be buying cinnamon sticks, you're going to be using one in there. Use them up. Don't let them stay in your drawer or wherever you keep them and let them get stagnant. Try and introduce them into your cooking so you get a theme going all the way through, along with some bay leaf and a couple of cloves. All of that's gone into my rice cooker. Remember what you say when I've told you about that before. It's 1 of those to 2 water, okay? 1 rice to 2 water. So it's exactly the same as what we've done there. Now, okay, there we are. We've got our rice in there. And I'm going to take some of this out. All the bay leaves, everything comes up to the surface. And look at this. Just gorgeous. Just transfer that perfect fluffy rice. All of that goes inside there now. Here we go. Pop that all in there. Okay, and all right, now we're not finished with the rice yet. We've got all that lovely flavour in there, but what I wanted to introduce to it is a really nice spiced oil, hot spiced oil. Got my oil on the stove here. All right, that's 3 tablespoons of, you can use sunflower or sun olive oil, something like that. And I've got 1 tablespoon of mustard seed, all of those going in there. And I've got 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds. Look at that, sizzling, it's popping, it's aromatic, it's great. Do be very careful, get the kids out of the way. This is hot oil. My word, there's the most wonderful flavour to it. Then we're going to take some of that and just spoon a little bit of that on top of your rice like that. There you go, all the way around. Look at that. Beautiful. The oils and everything will just seep its way through. That's lovely. There you go. Of course, if you're serving a whole bowl of rice, you literally put the bowl of rice down there and then pour all of the hot oil right over the top. And then let's finish it up now with the Rogan Josh. There we are, straight into our pan. Let's just pull that round there a little bit. I know it might look a little bit messy, but you know I go quiet, and when I start serving the food, I go, that's what I do. There we are, like that. Absolutely lovely. Tidy up your plate. Always important for presentation. Tidy that up a little bit. A little bit of the old coriander, just nestled on the top there like that. There we are. And a touch of paprika on the old yoghurt. And how about that for a feast? Just look at that. There you have it. Rogan Josh with fragrant rice and sizzling spiced oil. Lamb Rogan Josh, suitable for a 4.5 litre slow cooker. What you'll need is 3 tablespoons of sunflower oil, 675 grams, that's 1.5 pounds, of lamb neck fillet cut into bite-sized pieces. Remember, don't cut those pieces too small though. This is a slow cooking process, so it's going to get lovely and tender. 6 whole cloves, 1 small cinnamon stick, 2 bay leaves, 1 large onion chopped, 5 centimetres, that's about a 2-inch piece of fresh root ginger, peeled and finely grated. Remember, you can always keep it in your freezer and just grate it straight from your freezer, and then what you don't use, put back in your freezer, but don't let it thaw out, otherwise it will turn into a sponge. 4 garlic cloves crushed, 1 tablespoon of ground coriander, 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, 1.5 teaspoons of paprika, 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, depending on how hot you like it, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cardamom, 200 grams, that's 7 ounces of thick Greek yoghurt, 400 grams, 14-ounce can of chopped tomatoes, salt and freshly ground black pepper. Heat 2 tablespoons of oil in a large pan. Add half of the lamb and fry until nicely browned all over. Transfer to the slow cooker and fry the rest of the meat. Add to the slow cooker and set aside. Add another tablespoon of oil to the pan, then fry the cloves, cinnamon and bay leaf for a few seconds. Add the onions and fry for 6 to 7 minutes until nicely browned. Add the ginger and garlic and fry for 2 minutes. Then add the ground spices and fry for another minute. Add the yoghurt, a tablespoon at a time, frying for about 30 seconds between each addition. Pour the sauce over the lamb and stir in the tomatoes with 150 millilitres, that's 1/4 pint, of boiling water. Season to taste, cover and cook on low for 6 hours until the lamb is meltingly tender and the sauce has thickened. Serve directly from the slow cooker with a separate bowl of the fragrant rice with sizzling oil to hand around.